The observation deck of the GSS Meridian hummed with the low vibration of ion drives as the cruiser maintained its orbit around Kepler 442b. Alex Chen stood with his arms crossed, watching through the reinforced viewport as the planet's rust-colored surface rolled beneath them. Beside him, Captain Rodriguez and 3 other officers waited in silence. "She's late," Rodriguez muttered, checking his wrist display for the 3rd time in as many minutes. Alex didn't respond. He'd learned over his 8 years in the Galactic Security Forces that punctuality meant different things to different people, especially civilians. And Dr. Liza Volkova was decidedly civilian, a xenobiologist from the Europa Research Institute, assigned to their mission at the last possible moment by bureaucrats who'd never set foot on a ship. The door hissed open. Alex turned and felt his expression freeze in place. The woman who entered was perhaps 26, slight-framed, maybe 52 kilograms at most. She wore a cream-colored sweater that looked hand-knit, carried a battered leather satchel, and had her dark hair pulled back in a loose braid. Wire-rimmed glasses perched on her nose, actual glasses, not neural implants. She looked like she belonged in a university library, not a military vessel orbiting a potentially hostile world. "Dr. Volkova," Rodriguez said, his tone carefully neutral. "Welcome aboard the Meridian." "Thank you, Captain." Her voice was soft, accented, Russian, Alex guessed. She extended a delicate hand. "I apologize for the delay. The shuttle pilot insisted on running additional diagnostics." Rodriguez's handshake was brief. "This is Lieutenant Commander Alex Chen, our Chief Tactical Officer. He'll be accompanying your survey team planetside." Liza turned to Alex, and he found himself looking into eyes that were an unusual shade of amber. "A pleasure," she said, shaking his hand. Her grip was gentle, exactly what he'd expected. "Ma'am," Alex replied. He tried to keep the skepticism from his voice but wasn't entirely sure he succeeded. The briefing was standard. Kepler 442b showed signs of precontact civilization, electromagnetic emissions, atmospheric changes consistent with industrial activity. Protocol required a survey team to assess before any official contact. The team would consist of Liza, Alex, and 4 Marines from the ship's security detail: Sergeant Mills, Corporal Okonkwo, and Privates Huang and Reeves, all combat veterans. All enhanced with the standard military augmentations: reinforced skeletal structure, improved muscle density, neural reaction boosters. And then there was Liza, who looked like a strong wind might knock her over. They landed in the northern temperate zone 3 hours later, in a clearing surrounded by what passed for forest on Kepler 442b, massive fungal structures that rose like pillars, their caps spreading in overlapping layers that filtered the orange sunlight of the K-type star. Alex was first out of the lander, rifle raised, scanning the perimeter. The air was breathable but thin, the gravity about 0.87 standard. The Marines deployed in textbook formation, securing the area with practiced efficiency. Liza emerged last, nearly tripping on the lander's ramp. "Careful, ma'am," Alex said, catching her elbow. "Thank you," she smiled apologetically. "I'm not very coordinated, I'm afraid." That much is obvious, Alex thought but didn't say. Instead, he watched as she pulled out a handheld scanner and began taking readings, seemingly oblivious to the military precision happening around her. The survey proceeded uneventfully for the first 2 hours. They documented the local ecosystem, collected samples, and identified several structures in the distance that suggested intelligent construction. Liza worked with quiet focus, occasionally making notes in an actual paper journal. It was Reeves who spotted them first. "Contact 2 o'clock, multiple hostiles approaching fast." Alex's HUD immediately tagged the targets, 7 bipedal figures, roughly humanoid but broader, moving through the fungal forest with disturbing speed. His tactical analysis software flagged them as armed. "Defensive formation," Alex ordered. Dr. Volkova, get behind. The first projectile, some kind of electromagnetic accelerator round, took Huang in the chest. His armor held, but the impact sent him sprawling. Return fire, fall back to the lander. The clearing erupted into chaos. The aliens were fast, far faster than the preliminary reports had suggested. Mills went down next, tackled by something that had moved too quickly for Alex's enhanced reflexes to track. Okonkwo fired a 3-round burst that hit nothing but fungal matter. Alex's combat computer was screaming warnings. They were outmatched. Whatever these beings were, they'd been grossly underestimated. Reeves, cover our retreat, Sergeant. Mills's scream cut short with sickening abruptness. And then Alex saw it. One of the aliens, easily 2.5 meters tall and massing perhaps 200 kilograms of what looked like armored muscle, had broken through their line. It was heading straight for Lisa. Alex's rifle came up, but he knew, even with his neural boosters accelerating his perception, that he wouldn't be fast enough. The creature would reach her in 1.3 seconds. He could fire in 0.8 seconds, but at this angle, he'd hit Lisa. She's going to die. The alien covered the final 3 meters in a blur of motion, some kind of bladed weapon raised high. What happened next took exactly 1.47 seconds by Alex's combat computer, but he would remember it in crystalline slow motion for the rest of his life. Lisa moved. She didn't dodge. She didn't run. She moved, a fluid sidestep that put her inside the alien's attack radius, one hand catching the descending blade arm at the wrist, her other hand striking the creature's elbow joint with surgical precision. The crack was audible even over the weapon's fire. The alien's weapon tumbled free. Then Lisa was pivoting, using the alien's own momentum against it, redirecting 200 kilograms of mass with what looked like minimal effort. The creature hit the ground hard enough to crack stone. She dropped onto it, one knee on its thick neck, her hand finding another joint, shoulder, Alex realized, and applying pressure that made the alien shriek. The entire clearing went still. The other 6 aliens froze, weapons half raised. Okonkwo and Reeves stared, rifles forgotten. Even Mills, injured but conscious, gaped from the ground. Lisa looked up at the remaining aliens. Her glasses had somehow stayed in place. Her voice, when she spoke, was still soft but carried perfectly in the sudden silence. "We didn't come for war," she said in flawless Kepler common tongue, a language Alex's database said shouldn't have been decoded yet. "We came to talk. Tell your warriors to stand down and I'll release their commander." The aliens exchanged what might have been glances. One made a series of rapid clicking sounds. Lisa responded in kind, still holding the massive warrior immobile with what looked like effortless pressure. More clicks. Then slowly, the aliens lowered their weapons. "Thank you," Lisa said. She released the commander and stood, offering her hand to help it up. The creature stared at her for a long moment, then accepted, pulling itself to its feet. More clicking sounds. Lisa nodded. "They want to speak with our ship's captain," she translated. "I've explained we'll need to retrieve our wounded first. They've agreed to a ceasefire." Alex found her in the medical bay 3 hours later, after the diplomatic team had shuttled down and formal contact protocols had begun. She was having her hand bandaged. Apparently she'd sprained her wrist, though she hadn't mentioned it. "Dr. Volkova," he said. She looked up and smiled. "Please call me Lisa." "Lisa," he paused, trying to find the right words. "What you did out there, that wasn't xenobiology." "No," she agreed, "it wasn't. You moved faster than my combat computer could track. You took down something twice your mass like it was nothing. The neural boosters I have cost the military 3 years of my salary. You're not enhanced. I checked your medical file." "Correct, I'm not enhanced." She flexed her bandaged hand gingerly. "I'm just trained." "Trained in what?" "Systema primarily, some judo, a bit of aikido. I've been studying since I was 6. She pushed her glasses up her nose with her unbandaged hand. My grandmother said that looking delicate meant people underestimated you. She said that was a gift if you knew what to do with it. Alex sat down across from her. You speak their language. I have a gift for languages, and I studied the preliminary data on the flight here, she shrugged. It seemed prudent. You could have mentioned that I know martial arts. She gave him an apologetic look. I find that when people know, they treat me differently. They either want me to prove it or they get nervous. I prefer to be underestimated. It's more comfortable. And besides, she added, I really am a xenobiologist. That's not a cover. I just also know how to defend myself. Alex shook his head slowly. You saved our lives. You would have managed, Lisa said, but perhaps with more casualties. I'm glad I could help. She stood, slinging her satchel over her shoulder. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to prepare for the cultural exchange tomorrow. The Keplerians have fascinating social structures, and I want to. Lisa. She paused. Thank you, Alex said quietly. She smiled, that same gentle smile from when she'd first boarded the ship. You're welcome, Alex. Though next time, perhaps trust that sometimes the delicate-looking ones are tougher than they appear. She walked out, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts and a fundamental recalibration of his assumptions about strength, appearance, and the dangerous habit of judging books by their covers. Outside the viewport, Kepler 442b turned slowly in the orange light, and first contact proceeded peacefully, brokered by the delicate girl who defeated the toughest soldiers in seconds.